everyone. Also to see familiar faces from the previous sessions. I would like to welcome you all to this fifth session of our series of talks on legal design. Just 2-3 minutes to explain the background and the agenda before giving the floor to our guest speaker. A few words about the background. Maybe because you are here, you all know that legal design is an innovative approach that aims to improve the understanding of legal or complex information in order to make the law and the justice more accessible and fairer. How to do so with the help of law, technology, and design, for instance, via visuals, diagrams, maps, schematics, or machine learning techniques. And indeed, we also have interdisciplinary teams, particularly designers, and that's why today our guest speaker will talk about design without or with designers. Why legal design matters? Because most people struggle to understand the legal complexity of the landscape, which creates barrier to justice and participation. There are many initiatives and areas. Probably our guest speaker will mention one of them because he did some graphic designs for blockchain technologies to improve the understanding of such complex technologies. Other areas are, of course, privacy, for instance, with the consent and information requirements, health, voting, democracy, and many other areas. With this series of talks, Aurélia and I, our respective centers, the Digital Law Center and the Legal Design and Codes Lab, aims to engage and learn from each other, from innovative legal design techniques, from concrete use cases, all with the aim to simplify the legal complexity. A few words about the agenda. Anthony, our guest speaker, will give a talk about 20-30 minutes. Then we will have the pleasure to open the floor with about 30 minutes general discussion with questions from the audience. So feel free to interact, raise questions either via the chat function on Zoom during the talk or by raising the virtual hand. Few words, last but not least, about our guest speaker. Anthony Masure is an associate professor at the Geneva School of Art and Design, so-called HED Geneva. His work focuses on the intersection between design and technologies. Recently, he focused on machine learning and blockchains. As mentioned, he probably will give you words about the blockchain project. And among others, he published different articles and books, particularly a recent book on design sous artifice, la création au risque du machine learning, published by HED Geneva. Very happy to welcome you, Anthony. We look forward to listening to your talk. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Yaniv and Aurélia, for the invitation. I really appreciate it. If you don't know, at Genève, it's located on the Campus Charmille, on the old stadium of football. So you are more than welcome if you are around to meet me. So let's start with a provocative question. At least we are on Friday. So my main question today will be that one. Has legal design been built on a misunderstanding of the field of design? This is provocative because legal design contains design, so it will be the core of my talk. To answer to it, we have to go to the past and to understand where design comes from. It will be short, of course. I have only 20 to 30 minutes. So let's go to the origins of design. And another sub-question, is design a capitalist invention? Because many people think that design is only a thing to buy more things, in a way. That's not the case. If we look to the past, contrary to popular belief, design emerged to counter the poor quality of industrial production. In other words, industrial production can exist without design and has exist and still exist without design and without designers. So no, historically, design is not an adjunct of capitalism. If we look to the past, so in 1851, so it's very old, on the London World's Fairs exhibition, at the time, there were a lot of products, British products, were not so good because they contained a lot of decoration, ornaments, and so on. And at the time, two guys, or one guy mostly, Enrico, was disappointed with the quality of the product, and to answer to it, he not only criticized things, but he built a journal called the Journal of Design and Manufactures. And in fact, it's the first time that the word design appears. So it's really important journal for the design field. And what he wanted to do is to rebuild new products based on new ways of doing, new qualities, new ethics, at the time, so that quotation, he was looking, or they were looking for harmony between function, decoration, and intelligence in all industrial production. So through his history, design has been marked by a tension between social critique and the market economy. And we are still today between these two fields, between social critique and market economy, because of course, design is not only about capitalism, but is embedded into a capitalistic society. Today, design is more big than before. It contains a lot of things, could be graphic design, information design, fashion design, product design, interior design, and so on. But also, since 10 to 20 years, critical design, speculative design, sustainable design, and maybe legal design. But before going to legal design, we have to look into the dark side of design. That's also a provocative title with another sub-question: can design save us? And what kind of design are we talking about? I think you recognize the reference, Star Wars. Star Wars could be a good way to understand design, because in the fourth episode, Star Wars 4, released in 1983, Palpatine became a monster. He reveals his true evil nature. And there is this quotation on the movie: everything that has transpired has done so according to my design. It's under the film. You can look at it after the lecture if you want. So in English, and it's difficult for me because I'm French, design has not the same meaning than in French. In English, design could have a negative connotation, such as machination. That's what the theoretian Wilhelm Flusser said on a book about design. So could be a shame, a plot, a motif, a deception, to concoct something, to stimulate, to drive, to sketch, to fashion. So it's not, could be positive, but not so much. It depends of the point of view. And on another text, he raises an important question about the responsibility of designers. He wonders if, for example, if with accountable, if a robot kills someone. It's on 1999, but even before, because it's a posthumous paper. So at the time, so much before AI, he already raises a lot of questions. Should it be the industrial, the designers, another one, we don't know. So there is a link between design and responsibility or accountability. The question about ethics in industrial design, about the moral and political responsibility of the designer, has become valid in the present situation. So it's a tricky question for legal design, because usually the people who master the ethics and responsibility are the lawyers, but could be also the designers. Another text about accountability and design is from Victor Papanek, and on his this old text from the 70s, the author wonders if design is for capitalism or for citizens. For him, it should be for citizens. So this text is very famous for designers. It's called Design for the Real World. It was republished recently. It was out of print, unfortunately, but now you can read it in French also. And for Victor Papanek, design deals with the political, social, ecological, and environmental effects and the responsibilities that is for design teams. So same kind of idea than Wilhelm Flusser. So to short, is design is made to solve or to criticize? In fact, it could be both. And on the current situation, which is highly problematic, for example, with the ecological crisis, is design accountable for the current situation? That's a lot of questions, I know. For another designers, but it's the same kind of idea. The answer is yes, partly. Not only designers are not the only people who are accountable, but they are also. Design does not correspond to an industrial function limited to solving production problems, but to a strategic activity, to a civil culture. And the title in French is La qualité formelle du monde, in English, the formal quality of the world. This is important for the rest of my talk. So design is a critical field. And if you want to know more, this is a really good collection in French, but they are translations, so you can have them in English also on the publisher Presse du Réel. Anything on that list is good to hear it. So in other words, issues of ethics, responsibility, and justice are not foreign to the history of design, not at all, and is therefore regrettable that a large part of legal design overlooks these issues. Because when I look to legal design, I mostly see lawyers or citizens looking for answers, but not much less for people who are interested about the critical skills of design and designers. So it's a first conclusion of my talk. So now let's jump to legal design. And as we are on Friday, I want to call it a narrow view of design as I see it today. It's not a fatality, but for now, it's unfortunately a narrow view of design. And let's go back to the most famous unit of research, the Stanford Legal Design Lab. And I can say that it's maybe a design without designers. It's the title of my talk. And it's related to the Stanford case. So I think you know it. It was founded in 2013 to bring designers, lawyers, and technologists together to advance legal innovation and access to justice, which is wonderful. We all agree with the importance of the goal. But look at the diagram on the right. And I'm interested as a designer with the pink section. Design is defined to make things people can want to use, which is true, but it's much more incomplete. If you just remember of what I said, it avoids and it doesn't know a large part of the design field and especially the social critical field. Here it's more on maybe on the law field to promote society and empower people, but why it's not also on the pink circle? So I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding of what design is from that kind of approach. If we look for the project of the Stanford Legal Design Lab, there are only few, at least listed on the website. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to dig into these projects one by one, but most of them, okay, the good is that each of them involved citizens and people, or the broad society, general public. But the downside is it's like there is no designer. If you look at a project, the formal quality is really bad, and we are not sure that it works very well at the end. So there are good intentions, but maybe bad production, to be short. I know I'm rude, but it's to open the discussion. So for Stanford, design is understood as a service disconnected from critical and formal concerns. A project looks or should looks as vague and ineffective, and design is reduced as an instrumental approach. And it's close to the fields of design thinking and UX design, close to many definitions of legal design, and for me, highly problematic. This is the next point: design versus UX and or design thinking, or both. It depends. Here is a definition that I found on the comments of Fabien Le Chevalier LinkedIn post on October 2025. So maybe two lawyers, I'm not sure of their background, but Lexis 360 is a law online service. So I think they are lawyers. And they define legal design as design thinking. And for me, it's a shame, because design could be much more than design thinking. So here, design is only a facilitator in the service of law, and it considerably narrows its potential fields of action. So legal design thinking, it's the main method today. It's a method that separates thinking from producing, which is for any design students or professional a contradiction. We can't separate both. It assumes that form is not a matter of inquiry, but a kind of decoration, like in the London exhibition 2 centuries ago. It reduces, or it can reduce citizens to users, because UX design is user experience design, but a citizen is not only a user. And it deprives design of genuine critical action and transformative capacity. It's like having a Ferrari and only drive it on small roads, if you want. And this is a huge critiques of design thinking by a colleague in New York. Pentagram is a big design agency, and she said that design thinking packages a designer's way of working for a non-designer audience by codifying their processes into a prescriptive step-by-step approach to creative problem solving, claiming that it can be applied by anyone to any problem. If it's true, we can close my school today. We don't need designers if anyone can solve any problem. Of course, it's not the case. So at the end, design thinking is a matter of post-it intentions, but to build a product, it's much more complex. Next step, this is the tricky part, because I will have to dig between French and English, how to translate legal design. Thanks to Fabien Le Chevalier again, I was aware of this French translation of legal design, and the Journal Officiel, so the French government, proposed to translate it as infographie juridique. In English, law infographic, something like that. Okay, it could be true, but it's only a fraction of what legal design could be. And if we translate at ease, there is a risk that legal design became only this. On the comments of Fabien Le Chevalier LinkedIn post, people propose another translation, infographie juridique, so it's the first one. Design du droit, this is my favorite, and maybe the most simple, because it's the most open. Conception juridique, I don't very like that one, because there is an opposition between conception and production in French, so not so much. Schématisation juridique, same kind of problem than the first one. Or design d'information juridique, okay, better, but same problem. It reduces design to graphic design, and graphic design after the law was made, in a way. I like the definition of Fabien in French. I just made a few tweaks. So yes, legal design means a set of practices and methods coming from the fields of design to question, transform, and make a law more accessible. This is a good definition, I think, because it's not a matter of only accessibility. It could be this, but also a matter of question and transformation, which is much more open and interesting because at the end, legal design is not made only to make existing law more understandable, but also to rethink the whole law or justice system. Two case studies. I have 10 minutes more, if I'm right, Yaniv. Two case studies before the conclusion. Not so much about law, but I'm sure you will be able to connect with your fields. The first one is infographic work, Anatomy of an AI System from 2018 from one graphic designers and one researchers, Kate Crawford and Vlad Angeler. And on this really big schema, they analyzed the meanings and the function of an Amazon Echo smart speaker. So there is a fascinating map of human labor, ecological problem, and so on. And it's not only representing something as a fact, but analyzing a whole material and ecological system. There is some zoom of the map. So I would be interesting to see works like that applied to the law field. And the second example, Yaniv spoiled it in his introduction, is the CryptoKit semantic map of blockchain technologies work I made with French colleagues in the last years, funded by H2SSO. And the goal was to explain blockchain technologies with visuals as much as we can. So for this work, we built a lexicon, which was not easy because many terms in blockchain are vague or redundant. And at the end, we made 200 pictograms of blockchain technologies. And the main point is that we wanted to avoid metaphors. For example, if you want to burn a token, before our work, it was a flame with kind of metal coins, which means nothing. Mint leaves, as much it means nothing. Mining, like on the Western movie, or cloud with physical cloud. It means nothing. Cloud is not a cloud. No. So we wanted to be more accurate, and we spent so much hours speaking from which one should be more accurate. And that kind of method, I don't see it so much often when we talk about legal design, when we use already made pictograms, typefaces, and so on. So without questioning the form of the project. These pictograms are fully open source, CC0, and they are made to be gathered as a schema. And yes, another zoom of the project is when we think about money could mean so much thing today. So for a same kind of a coin, there are several shapes. For example, if we talk about fiat money, it looks like a physical coin, but stable coin is a full circle. And CBDC, the failed cryptocurrency, it's another symbol, and it's the first glyph who represent a CBDC. And it's a kind of money who raise a lot of ethical and political questions today in China and soon in Europe also. So we need forms to build a citizen debate in a way. If we are not able to represent something, it's difficult to debate and to have an idea of what it is, because an euro could be this one of these three shapes. And yes, two examples of application of the CryptoKit. So here it's the representation of the traditional art market, and here of the Web3 art market, but I don't have the time to comment this schema. So let's jump to the conclusion for 5 minutes. Today, legal design is facing maybe new issues and complex issues. The first one, of course, is the one of AI. With AI, machines are not only computing machines, but predictive machines. So it's a huge risk for democracy, for example, and maybe we need more designers and lawyers working together to address these issues. Another one, a tricky one, is the shift from justice to social justice, citizen justice, but justice without lawyers, maybe, on the streets. So it could be also an interesting field for legal design. And also, yes, also connected with AI, but from a far-right point of view, these chatbots with political and extreme political views embedded into it. For example, on Grok from X platform, from innovation to repression, and from innovation to mimicry. When something is adopted, it becomes something imitated, and everyone is looking from the same. It's also another issue. I also wanted to raise the idea of what responsibility design could be. Maybe it could be an alternative or legal design, responsibility design. I don't know. But yeah, ethics, it's a very complicated world. There is two kinds of ethics, one where you write the rules and another one when you discuss the rules, to be really short. And maybe responsibility design is a mix of the two. And yes, a combination of normative ethics, prescription, and capability ethics, potentiation. So it's the same kind of debates we have with AI, because AI has a really long story between a connectionist method to symbolic method. And maybe the AI of the future could be a mix of the two. And a good ethic of AI also should be a mix of the two. So last slide, legal design and action plan. What can we do? My suggestion is to balance lawyers, designers, and computer scientists equally for a team, a lecture series, a symposium, or anything. Don't forget to invite designers. So thanks again, Yaniv and Aurélia, for this. Pay attention to the formal quality of project. It's really important, because if we don't have highly skills in it, it will fail at the end. You will not have a good product, and you will not change the current situation. It's really important to understand design as a critical and forward-looking partner, as not only as an executive partner. Executive partner is not a partner, it's maybe only an executive at the end. Do not isolate law from temporary ethical issues. Know you are aware of it at the Digital Law Center. For example, is it a design of law or design for law? It's not the same thing. And I think design for law, it's more interesting than design of law. Yeah, move from understanding the law to making the law. I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure you have good ideas for me. And on the right side of my slide, it's a teaser of the new Master Visual Knowledge at Genève, who opened this last September, 1 month ago. And we hope with Yaniv to build a relationship with the Digital Law Center and this new Master in Visual Knowledge. That's it. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward for your question.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Very timely and very provocative and interesting.